Here's how to make a killer Amazon listing, because we all know that an Amazon listing could be the difference between becoming a bestseller and getting buried in the bottoms of the search results, never to see the light of day. This is going to not only help you get those clicks into your listing, but really figuring out what you can do to make people want to buy your product over and over and over again. So if you want to figure out what it takes to not only become a bestseller on Amazon, but create a brand that's capable of explosive growth, then let's dig into the framework that you must follow in order to create a killer Amazon listing. Hello, my name is Emma Shermer-Tamir. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Marketing by Emma, and we have made thousands and thousands of listings since 2016. We have seen the space change a lot, but we have made it our mission to figure out what it takes to not only win over clicks, but then to capture those clicks, turn them into sales so that businesses can be turning a profit and building a brand that can stand the test of time. There's a lot of things that have to be right in order to dominate on Amazon. And today we're going to be going into what you need in order to make an Amazon listing that is going to be successful now. We are going to be going into a proven 5-step framework that you need to follow. Don't skimp on any of these. Each single piece is incredibly important in order to be able to do what it takes to dominate the fierce competition, the competition that will copy you, that will rip you off, that is eager to steal every customer away from you. You need to be deliberate. You need to be strategic. And this 5-step framework is going to help you figure that out. Now, as I mentioned, not only have we created a lot of listings, but I have looked at thousands and thousands. I recently calculated it to be over 8,000 listings. So I really have a firm sense of what it takes in order to be successful on the platform. And the first step in this framework is you need to get found by the right people. Because it doesn't matter if you get found by somebody that doesn't want your product or somebody that's going to buy it but then be unhappy. You need to get the people that are going to love your product, to find your product, and then of course buy it. But how do you do that? How do you actually get found by the right people? That is going to come down to having a really solid keyword and SEO strategy. And that strategy requires both the correct keyword identification and utilization. You need to have both of these pieces very solidly honed in and refined if you want to attract the right customers. So what are those high opportunity keywords, those high buying and intent keywords, those highly relevant keywords that your exact customers are using to search for your product? So not the general terms that anybody in that category would search, but what are the keywords that your customers are searching for? So for today's conversation, let's imagine that you are selling a green drink, essentially a powder that you mix into water or smoothie or whatever beverage, and it's full of lots of different greens that are providing vitamins and minerals and other beneficial ingredients that are going to help you live a wonderful life. But you are not just selling your green drink to anybody and everyone. I mean, of course, that very well might be your goal. However, if you're trying to sell to every single kind of person out there who could benefit from your green drink, you are likely not going to have what it takes in order to take the top spot to win over your customers. And that's for a few reasons. One is you already have competitors that are really locked and loaded. They have that brand loyalty. They're there, they're present, but also you need to find a niche. You need to find somewhere where your customers are that are not being served right now. And so how do we do that? You're going to go to your favorite keyword tool of choice. We really like to use a combination of Data Dive and Helium 10. They both provide different elements. However, let's actually take a step back. Let's before we're doing our keyword research, we need to go and see what it's like to be a customer searching for a product like yours. So let's put our customer hats on and pretend that we are looking for a green drink. So when we look for a green drink, we have super greens, green blend, bloom, organic greens. Everything is green. Everything is more or less the same, and that's fine. But we want to win over a very specific customer. Now, you need to determine what that customer is, but you want to narrow this down a little bit. And you might narrow it down in a few different ways. So you could narrow it down based on the type of customer. You could narrow it down based on the types of benefits. You could narrow it down based on the kind of brand you are. All of these things could be used also in combination with each other, but you need to have a clear perspective of where you are starting to carve out your niche, create that moat, if you will, that's going to give people a reason to not only choose you, but not choose whoever they would have chosen otherwise. Did you follow that? Because it's a really, really important nuance to understand. When customers choose you, they're not just deciding to buy from you, they're deciding not to buy from somebody else or somebody's else. And sometimes those somebodies are brands that they've already been buying from. And in that case, you need to have a very compelling reason why they should abandon their brand of choice to go with the unknown, who is you in this case. So who your customers are, can be also partially determined by your keyword. So if you search green drink for, you might see for kids, bloating, weight loss, teens, men, gut health, iron, party, women. Those are all potential ways that you could be starting to differentiate yourself or to carve out a specific niche for yourself. So step one is you need to be found by the right people. So once you're clear on how you're going to position yourself, you need to figure out the keywords that you are going to use to get in front of the customers that are going to be your target customer base. So one thing that's important to note about this 5-step framework is that it is not just something that you do one right after the other. They are all constantly feeding each other, but we have to start somewhere. So we're starting with the keywords because obviously Amazon is a search platform in and of itself, in its own right. People go there to search for products that they need to solve certain problems. And so we're going to start with keywords because that's how people find you. Step 2. Drive clicks. So it's not enough to get in front of the right people. We need to get them, convince them that our product is the best fit for their needs and that it's worthwhile for them to use that effort to click into our page versus all the other pages that are there. And so we have a few tools that we can use to do that. We have our main image, we have our title, reviews, price, and then coupons and things like that as well. But today we're going to be focusing on the main image and the title. Now, the stellar reviews, we will be getting to that in a little bit. I have a really fantastic strategy for how to generate more positive reviews, but you'll need to stay tuned for later in the video to be able to sink your teeth into that strategy, which will not only get you more sales, but also more reviews. But right now we're going to be focusing on your title and on your main image. And both of these have 2 jobs. Your main image needs to communicate to customers that this is the right product for what they were searching for, and it needs to stand out and grab their attention from all of the other items out there. And so that's where there can also be a lot of power in getting very specific, like we were talking about with those keywords, by choosing the right keywords, by targeting the right customers, by aligning your SEO strategy so that now you're not just trying to be the green drink for anybody and everybody, but you're the green drink for kids, or you're the green drink for gut health, or you're the green drink for bloating. Now that in and of itself isn't even as specific as we want to get. However, what we need to do is we need to be thinking about how can we visually with the main image and textually with the title signal to the customers, yes, this is what you were searching for. Yes, this is the product that you want. Yes, it is worth your time and effort to click in so that you can get to know us and you can buy from us. And in order to do that, you need to be thinking in terms of how can you be different and how can you signal to customers that this is the right choice. So ways that you're going to do that with your title are actually using those target keywords in your title, any differentiators or important factors that a customer might want to know about your product in your title, and then visually with the main image. Now you want to be sure that you are following Amazon's category specific rules. If you're not clear about what those are for your category, I will leave a link below that goes into the nitty gritty for that. But your main image does need to be TOS compliant. It needs to follow Amazon's terms of service to avoid getting into trouble. You will sometimes see people do things that they shouldn't be doing. If you want to take that risk, that is your choice. It's your business. And I'm not the one calling the shots. So you do you. However, I'm definitely more of a play by the rules kind of gal. So I suggest that you at least familiarize yourself with those, if nothing else. But thinking about within those rules, how can you set yourself apart? How can you attract those eyeballs? And this might require some A/B testing. You can also use a tool like PickFu to start to iterate on this and figure out what you can do to grab attention from your competitors. Because if you are not able to get that attention, it doesn't matter what kind of beautiful A+ content you have or amazing reviews you have. If a customer is not looking at you, if they're not pausing to contemplate clicking into you, then all of that is a waste. All of it is for nothing. So step 2, drive clicks. Now, step 3, we've already sort of been talking about with steps 1 and steps 2, but now we're going to get very deliberate with it. We need to make sure to stand out. If you are selling on Amazon, the likelihood of you selling something without any competition is practically zero unless you have created some amazing invention that's never existed before. But then even in that case, there may not be the search volume for you to be able to even get in front of the right customers. And that's really a whole separate topic about how to launch a new invention that Amazon can definitely be a great part of that, but there is a whole separate strategy that goes into that, which is really a subject for another day. So let's assume that you don't have something that's totally innovative, one of a kind, never existed before. You're selling something that you have competitors for. You need to stand out. You need to be different. People need to have a reason to choose you. And strangely enough, Amazon does not do a great job of giving customers the ability to easily compare products against each other, which makes it even more vital that you as a business owner or decision maker or creative are making it very clear how you stack up and compare to the competition. And you want to be doing this in every single layer of your listing. So first things first is you need to understand what makes you different and what makes you stand out. And then once you know that, you need to weave that into the thread. So you need to be thinking about that with your main image and your title to be driving people in. You need to be thinking about that with your keyword strategy. But then you also need to be integrating that into the kinds of imagery that you create and your A+ or premium A+ content and your brand story and your bullets, and every single piece of that real estate needs to be not only communicating why your product is so great, but why it is so much better than the alternative. Differentiation is so important. If you want to achieve that best seller status, then you have to figure out what makes you different. If you are just trying to copycat what the top sellers in your category are doing, then you're never going to be able to have what it takes to take that top spot unless you're willing to drop your prices to rock bottom or run really aggressive campaigns. But we don't want to just be the best seller. We want to be profitable. So probably not the best direction to go in, but differentiation is so important. Next step, build connection. So how can you actually communicate to the customer Yes, I see you. You have this problem that you came onto Amazon to solve, and I don't know why I just wanted to break out an angelic song just then, but just imagine the heavens opening and this perfect item that you didn't even know existed is sitting right there on the Amazon search results pages. You can't believe it's true, but is this just a mirage, an illusion, or is this real? That's where building connection comes in. So this is really thinking about how to leverage your brand, how to build trust, how to make the customer feel seen and understood. All of these elements are so important because they want to know that you are reputable, that you are delivering on what you promise, that you get them, that this is the product that they are looking for. And so the ways that you do this are a fewfold. First of all, you have to understand your customer and you have to understand your brand. If you don't have both of those figured out and locked in and dialed in, loaded and ready to go, then this step is going to be really hard for you, because you're just going to be kind of staying on the surface level. You're not going to have the kind of conviction and clarity necessary to really create meaningful connection that makes a customer feel like, yeah, this brand gets it. This brand gets me. I'm excited to buy from them. So you see, I told you that all of these steps are feeding each other. So building connection really goes back to being found by the right people. So who are those right people, and what do they care about, and what do they want to see, and how do they want to be marketed to, and what kind of language is going to resonate with them. So all of these things are going to inform the style of design that you choose, and what kind of color palette and the sorts of models that you have in your imagery, and the way that you talk about the solutions that this product is capable of delivering to your customers. All of that is going to frame it. So let's go back to that green drink to speak a little bit more about what I mean. Let's just keep it clean, and let's just say green drink. So we're going to open a few. We're going to open Bloom, we're going to open Amazing Grass, and we're going to open Jocko Greens. And all three of these are very large brands that are doing very well on Amazon. So Bloom has a very specific aesthetic. It looks very Instagrammable. All of the images in the Premium A+, the internet's favorite greens, are of different women, different maybe primarily millennial women, I would say. So it's clear through the imagery that they are using in this Premium A+ of who their target customer is. They are not trying to sell to anybody and everybody. They are selling to a very specific customer that is looking for a very specific thing that is represented through the colors and the design, and even their packaging is all very much in line with the things that are going to really resonate with this specific type of customer. Then we have Amazing Grass, which their A+ content leaves a lot to be desired. It's not fantastic, but we see a very different vibe where it's really leaning into all of the wholesome ingredients that are inside of the product. So they have some pretty pictures that are showing the different vegetables and fruits that you'll get in every glass. So this is focusing very heavily on the ingredients and allowing the ingredients to be the thing that sets them apart. Now, unfortunately, the challenge is that their ingredients are not particularly different from anybody else's ingredients. So this is, I would say, probably a situation where I know just from working in a health food store over 10 years ago, or 15 or a while ago, Amazing Grass has been in this green drink space for a long time. And I have a feeling that this is a case of a company that hasn't really had to invest in the kind of brand building and differentiation that is necessary in order to be successful in the age that we're in. So I would really encourage them perhaps to even lean into that a little bit more. The fact that they have been around for a long time, that they're a very trustworthy, reputable brand that's been committed to helping people achieve their best life I would need to get a little bit more insights into specifically what they stand for. But these are just off the cuff, some of the things that immediately come to mind when I think about what Amazing Grass could or should do in order to start to separate themselves beyond just the product features, which is not really anything that's going to make them super different. And then we have Jocko Fuel Greens powder, which we look at the logo. It's clear that this is targeting more of that bodybuilder type. It's more reminiscent of the kinds of packaging that we would be used to seeing in a protein store, people that are lifting weights and really wanting to push their body's physical limits. Now, interestingly, their imagery doesn't reflect that at all, which I'm somewhat surprised by. I would honestly expect them to lean into that a little bit more. I think it's a real lost opportunity. If you go to the A+ content, doesn't look the best, isn't really giving us much. However, what we do have the Sweaty Man, which is reaffirming this bodybuilder vibe, but they could do so much more to really lean in and embrace who their target demographic is, because it's very obvious that the person that is targeted with Jocko Greens is not the same customer that is going to be excited by Bloom. And even names wise, they're very different. Bloom, even the name floral, which is a more feminine imagery that it associates. So we see that these two have very different brand identities, very different target markets, but there's so much more that they could be doing to really create that connection and stand out and give people a compelling reason to choose them over the alternative. And then the last piece. So all of this up until now has really been focusing on the strategy it takes to be a bestseller. And 5 is putting all of that into execution. It's maximizing your real estate. It's thinking about how every single creative asset on your product page can be refined and honed to perfection so that it communicates directly with your target customers, so that it signals to them that this is the product that they want, so that it clarifies what makes you different and better and gets people excited and eager to buy. And so we need to be thinking about your product imagery. How can you not just have beautiful images, which great imagery is so important. Having really sloppy photoshopped images or mediocre AI images does not cut it. If you want to be a bestseller, you need great, fantastic photos that are really going to not only highlight your product, but help create a clear visual brand identity that's going to resonate and connect with your customers. You also want to be thinking about how to integrate text into those product images so that even if somebody were not to look at the rest of your listing, they would understand what makes your product so great and why they should buy it. I would have to say that neither Bloom nor Amazing Greens nor Jocko Greens are doing a fantastic job of that. I would say that textually speaking, Jocko Greens probably does the best. They are honing that, get some, that's very, seems to be on brand, hard work, clean fuel, no excuses, but there is a disconnect with the imagery itself. So they could be taking it this extra step further. Similarly, you want to be thinking about, we already spoke about the main image and the title. Those become a little bit less important once somebody is in the listing, but thinking about your bullets and how you can really call out those important need to know details. If you are not using a brand story, and if you have not upgraded to premium A+ content, what are you doing? These are massive tools that you have that they just take up more screen space, first of all, but they're also giving you opportunities to cross-sell and upsell across your catalog. They give you an opportunity to really communicate what makes you stand out and what makes you different and better than your competitors. It gives you more space to visually communicate all of these things in a compelling way, and they are game changers. If you want to know more about why premium A+ content or your brand story are so important, I have videos on both of these, and I highly recommend that you check those out. You also need a storefront so that if people want to see everything that you have, if they want to learn just a little bit more about you, you need to be going to developing your storefront so that people can really get a clear sense of who you are, see your whole catalog. If they want to buy a bunch, it's all right there. And don't forget, your real estate isn't just on Amazon. Your real estate is your website and your social media presence and any other marketplace that you're selling on. All of those need to be reinforcing these steps, these 4 steps that we've been talking about, to make sure that there is that clear differentiation, that clear connection and communication, that very clear point of view that is resonating through every single piece of your entire brand. So that if I go to your Instagram or your website, I'm getting the same experience and messaging and idea, and I'm not just being manipulated by one particular place. It's cohesive, it's clear, it helps me build trust, that helps me feel reassured, and that's really, really important. So let's just recap really quickly. Get found by the right people. If you don't get found by the right people, then none of this matters. You need to drive clicks. So once you're on that search results page that people are clicking into your listing, you need to stand out. You need to be really clear about what makes you different and better and the alternative that customers are looking for. You need to drive connection. So you need to be really thinking about how you can build that emotional connection that makes customers feel seen, understood, heard, reassure, and trust that you are the choice for them. And then you need to maximize this effort across all of your real estate, making sure that people are really getting the cohesive and compelling experience across all of your platforms. Lucky for you, I've also put together a little infographic that you can download with the link below that details out all of these steps and the things that you need to be considering. A lot goes into a winning Amazon listing. You need to have a killer title and bullets and images and main image and all of these things. And you know what? I mentioned reviews, right? So reviews, best way to get good reviews is to deliver to the right customers and give them a fantastic experience. We always want to figure out what we can do to hack the reviews, but the fact of the matter is that when people find a product that they really love and that they're excited about, they're not just going to leave a review, they're going to tell other people about it. So if you can really hone this in, if you can be bold and clear about who you're selling to and what makes you different and why you are the ultimate choice for this group of people, then you are going to start to generate more reviews from customers that are raving fans that are going to love your product and sing about it from the roofs, from the rafters. I think that's the expression. Oh, I feel very impassioned by this video. It was a little more rambunctious than I normally am, but I live and breathe Amazon listing optimization, and it really is an art and a science, and there's so much that goes into it. If you want to get into the nitty-gritty of how to create a great title or bullets, then I suggest that you go ahead and watch the playlist that I've put together of all of the different pieces and what it takes to make sure that each one is finely honed to get those customers and to be the best seller to beat. Thank you so much for watching. And if you liked this, give it a thumbs up, drop a comment below and let me know what your favorite takeaway is or what you would like to see next, or if you have any questions. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you soon. Bye.